This is Jorge Rivera with FirstCoast.tv. We find ourselves with Peter Turr.
Yes.
And also with Joseph Marks of the Film Society. We're here because of the Compassionate St. Augustine and the Golden Way films, which are films that make us try to ask questions about us, our humanity, and the little blue planet we live in. And we're having a film called The Good Lie with Witherspoon. And the film is about three gentlemen who are brought from Sudan, and one of these gentlemen is sitting with us today. And it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's almost an honor. One feels like you're meeting a dignitary. And Peter, tell us a little bit about yourself. You came to the United States in 2001, was it?
Yes, I came to the U.S., or I arrived in the U.S. on August 9, 2001. And then I was brought directly to Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
And I think of Jacksonville as my adoptive city, and Florida as my adoptive state. So.
Okay. And Joe, you brought this film here to the First United Methodist Church.
Correct.
And what impulsed you to bring it here so that people can see it?
Well, the Golden Way Films That Make a Difference project is possible because of a grant from the Dr. Joanne Crisp Ellert Fund of the Community Foundation, and it's a film series that I began in March on various different social issues with the hope of bringing a community closer together by examining problems in the community worldwide, and just to impart a better understanding among all of us about the trials and tribulations that all of us go through at some period in time. I just want to make one correction.
Yes.
That Peter is not one of the gentlemen actually depicted in the film.
Oh, okay.
But he is one of the lost boys who was
that came in that wave.
Who came in that wave of several thousand children that
Yes.
were rescued by, I think it was Lutheran Charities.
Yes, Lutheran Charities.
And he was introduced to me by one of my advisory board members, Carol Gladstone, who taught Peter, right, at FCCJ, I believe.
All right. So, so I think it was almost 3,800 or something young that came from Sudan.
Yes, about 3,600.
Yeah, or 3,600.
Yes.
And what is for you, Peter? This film is about that journey that so many of you did, and now I believe you got in 2007 a political science degree.
Yes, I got my BA in political science at the University of Florida, also with a minor in American history, because I'm very passionate about U.S. history. It's my passion. So yeah, and then after that, I decided to join the U.S. Peace Corps. I wanted to be in the U.S. Marines.
All right.
But my friends, dissuaded me in a positive way to just join the Peace Corps because I already had seen enough of war. And then they told me that it would be a great way of giving back to your adopted country.
Very wise.
And and I'm very thankful, before I immigrated to this country, especially to my Florida, and I had no dignity. But when I arrived here, a lot of people, some of whom will be coming here tonight, adopted me. They have been there for me, and they made this country a special place for me.
All right. So here's a question. For you, a non-African, who watches the conflict that Africa and other parts of the world have, and you watch this film, what's the message you get from this film?
Okay. Part of my family emigrated to the United States from the Union of South Africa.
Oh, wow.
So I do have a connection with Africa.
Wow, I didn't know that, Joe.
As tenuous as it is, actually, most of my family was killed in the Holocaust in Europe during the Second World War. So I really feel for any population that goes through what Peter went through, and especially as a child. I mean, I just don't understand some of the things that go on in the world. It just drives me crazy. And I wanted some way of telling a compelling story to this community and showing what his particular group of people went through. I mean, there's been plenty of stories about the Holocaust. We're seeing the same thing now with Syrian refugees
Yes.
trying to get out of Syria, pouring
Europe
into
is getting
Europe.
swamped.
It just goes on and on and on.
Yes.
It's happened in Southeast Asia,
Mhm.
in Cambodia.
Yes.
It's gone on in Peru with Shining Path. It's endless.
Yes, yes.
So-
And for you, Peter, when you watch this film, what's the message you hope people get from that film? When they see your plight, the plight of these three men, which is also your plight and the plight of thousands, what do you hope it tells people like me who have not gone through that experience?
I think it tells people about human resilience, so human perseverance,
Okay.
and it does not matter, how hard or how horrible things get. There's always, some hope, and based on the film, the things that I see in it
Yes.
are closely related to me.
Yeah.
It seems as if it were like real.
Yes.
And that time I watched it just only one time. It was 3 weeks ago after I returned from Peace Corps China.
Uh-huh.
And I just relate, myself to it, because I feel as if I were like flaying like in it too. But I think it tells people about human resilience, and that's the only way I can put it.
Can I add something? to
Sure,
what you- The film also shows what can be accomplished by taking someone, regardless of where they came from and where they started from, which was not knowing English, not knowing the language, not knowing culture, not knowing the customs or anything, and where you can bring that person to if you have some compassion and a good heart, good intentions, and the time and the willingness to teach somebody.
Yes. And let me ask you a question. I guess this will be my last question because we don't want to run too long. And my question for you, Peter, is of all this time you've been in the United States of America, what do you think was the most difficult thing for you to grasp or to overcome?
I think, I would say the food,
Okay.
because when I got, to Jacksonville, I was put in this, apartment with everything in it, and my mind was like, thinking about those who were, those whom I left
Yes.
in the
homeland.
refugee camp,
Mhm.
and it was very impressive, and then I said to myself, so I wish I could, take some of this food and or send it you back to the refugee camp, because we did not have anything to eat. And but when I arrived here, I think the most important thing, the hospitality of the American people. And I'm doing well today because of the people who adopted me, and they did not care about my skin color, and especially the people of Jacksonville, like Carol,
Yes.
who organized this in conjunction with Jill, also has always been there for me,
All right.
and all those families, hospitality. And that's why I mentioned earlier, America restored my dignity. Those families in Jacksonville, and they will also be here tonight because of their hospitality. That's why, I'm just, I have been humbled, by their love and kindness. And they made me who I am now because of their love. I'm doing well today because of them. I think the hospitality of the American people was the most surprising thing to me, and so they have always been there for me.
It's interesting you say that. I met quite a few refugees in Europe. I remember one who said, "I fell from a terrible place into a sea of love," and
That's
it
great.
was yes. And I said, "Wow!" And his experience was like yours. So many strangers who
Yeah.
just took off their jacket or gave
Yes.
them half their meal.
Yes, I think I will not, I will never take credit of all I have done in my life. I think because of the love of the people of Jacksonville, and that's why, I'm who I am, because they always, they have always stood by me, and they are still standing by me.
Right.
And people like you too,
Yeah.
is with, raising awareness about the situation in South
Yes.
Sudan.
Let's not forget.
Yes,
Mhm.
and I'm just humbled, by the love, that I found here in this country, and that's why I have hope in humanity. So,
Well,
You should
Well-
never lose hope.
Okay, well, let's leave it on that. Let's never lose hope, and let's always be resilient.
yes.
And I thank you both. You've been very kind. Many blessings to you, Peter.
Thank
I hope
you.
your journey just keeps going with this incredible energy and vision for other people to see that it is possible. It is
Thank you.
possible.
Thank you for taking the
Thank you,
time to
Jorge.
talk with us.
All right. Thank you both.
Thank you.